We are going to begin the funeral service for Mrs. Marcia Goldberg. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it in the silent mode or turn it completely off at this time. I'd also like to welcome anybody visiting via live stream. On behalf of the family, thank you for attending. Services will be conducted by Rabbi Cantor Nancy Landsman of Congregation Ahavat Olam. I believe she's going to start with the ancient tradition of cutting of the kriya.
So as I explained to the family when we met, Candy and Daryl, you've been given a kriya ribbon, and I asked the two of you to please stand right at your place. We know everyone's hearts are torn as we say goodbye to your mother. And we have the custom in our Jewish faith to either make a tear in our clothing or in lieu of that to make a tear. In just a moment, I'll invite the two of you to make a tear in this kriya ribbon. You'll notice that the kriya ribbon has been pinned on your left side over your heart. It's only children who pin this kriya ribbon over their heart because there is no bond as unique and special as that between parent and child. There are traditional Hebrew words that are said before making a tear in the ribbon, and I invite the two of you to repeat these words after me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. These words mean, praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, judge of truth. From the bottom of the ribbon up towards the circular button, you're going to need two hands. You can make a tear. You can tear it a little. You can tear it all the way up to the circular button, whatever you prefer. Sometimes it tears more easily on the side, sometimes on the bottom. And sometimes we need a little help with a knife, which Peggy has. You can choose to wear this kriya ribbon only today or the first week of mourning or the period of what we call shloshim, 30 days. You also have a choice to wear the ribbon tucked in the inside, or you can wear it on the outside for others to see. There's no right or wrong, whatever gives you meaning. Hopefully, if you choose to wear this ribbon beyond today and people see you wearing this torn black ribbon, hopefully they will understand that you are in a period of mourning and they'll have compassion on you. Please be seated. I am truly honored to be officiating the service today for Marcia. I had the opportunity to meet her just briefly, and many members of the family, all of whom were in the room as Marcia was transitioning. As many of us know, the last thing to go is hearing. So as I explained to the family when we were all gathered there at Marcia's bedside, she was hearing the words and the prayers and the singing that took place. And hopefully that gave her comfort and gave her some peace, a sense of peace. Certainly being surrounded by all the love of her family, I'm sure meant the world to her. And our hearts go out to all of you, her beautiful family. And it means so much that you are here, those in the chapel and those of you joining us remotely, to lend your love and your support to Marcia's family during this very difficult time. In learning about Marcia, I have selected a few readings and poems that I felt were fitting for her and her beautiful family. Joseph Epstein wrote, "We do not choose to be born. We do not choose our parents or siblings or our times or country of birth or the circumstances of our upbringing. We do not, most of us, choose to die or the time or conditions of our death. But within all this realm of choicelessness, we do choose how we shall live, courageously or in cowardice, honorably or dishonorably, with purpose or adrift. We decide what is important and what is trivial, What makes us significant is what we do or refuse to do. We decide and we choose, and so we give definition to our lives. Marcia gave great definition to her life. One of the first things the family shared with me as we were gathered there in her room was she just really wanted to be a mom. She loved being a mother. Michael Adesanya wrote, "There are times only when a mother's love can understand our tears, can soothe our disappointments, and calm all our fears. There are times when only a mother's love can share the joy we feel, when something we've dreamed about quite suddenly is real. There are times when only a mother's faith can help on life's way and inspire in us the confidence we need from day to day. For a mother's heart and a mother's faith and a mother's steadfast love were fashioned by the angels and sent from God above." Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded." I think all who knew Marcia would agree that she succeeded in so many ways. No matter how many years a person is lucky enough to be granted, when we find ourselves here at a funeral service, I don't know how we're fully prepared to say goodbye to somebody that we love so very much. Many find comfort turning to the book of Psalms, Psalm 121. Sinai, El-Harim, Me'ayin Yavo, Ezri. I will lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. From whence shall my help come? My help cometh from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel doth neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall keep thee from all evil. He shall keep thy soul. The Lord shall guard thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and forever. In your service folders, you find the 23rd Psalm, a psalm that I think speaks to all of us. We do have extra copies, especially in the front row. I thought you all had one. If you need one, there are also extra copies outside the chapel. I think this psalm gives comfort to all people, regardless of their faith and tradition. So I'd like to invite all of you here, as well as those of you joining us online, to join with me in reciting the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. An unknown author wrote this beautiful poem entitled The Greatest Gift. One of the greatest gifts that life can give to anyone is the very special love that families share. As years go by, it's good to know that there will always be certain people in our lives who care. For there are countless things that only families have in common, and memories that no one else can make. And these precious ties that bind a family together are bonds that time and distance cannot break. How fortunate we are when we have relatives to love us. It makes the world a happy place to be. Few gifts in life will last as long or touch the heart as deeply as the very special gift of family. When I asked Marcia's family, what would you say Marcia was most passionate about? Their answer was her family. We have a few family members, basically her grandsons who are here today, who have some words they'd like to share. It's my honor to first call upon Justin.
So when I reflected upon my memories with my grandma, I think the time that I remember most is when I was older, in high school and college, and I would drive over to go see her, and we would have time one-on-one. When you're younger, you're with the whole family, but when you're older, you get some more time alone. And I remember going over, and I would go to her house in Huntley. She'd have me come in and give me a can of Sprite, because she always had just cans of Sprite lined up. She'd ask how school was, and then she would always ask me the same question every single time. So what world problems will we solve today? For those that don't know, my grandma and I were very different ideologically, politically, socially, as different as you could be. But then we would sit down and we would discuss for sometimes a couple hours together whatever topic it was that she wanted to discuss. And when I think about the lessons that I learned from my grandma, I think the one lesson I learned from her was we would discuss and discuss and discuss, and we'd always come away with some level of agreement. And I really learned from her the power of trying to find a middle ground with people. And it's something that I've always kept with me. I miss her a lot.
And now it's my honor to call upon Ryan.
I think that one of the things that really hit home the hardest was when we were talking the other day in our Zoom meeting. When both my mother and my uncle mentioned that if there's one thing about my grandma is that she just wanted to be a mother. I think the same could be said for us as grandchildren, is that she just wanted to also be a grandmother. The thing that I think was most valuable about her is she loved everybody, and she had a very special way of showing that differently for each of us. There was always something that she would gravitate towards specifically for us. And for me, she was always intrigued about my willingness to learn, and trying to push that willingness forward. I was really into math growing up. I really excelled at math. And all the time she would ask, how is school going? How is school going? What really amazes me today is I grew up in a generation where it was not only hard to diagnose, but to definitely parent things like ADHD and autism. I never got an opportunity to share probably with anybody in this room, except for my wife and my mom. But as an adult, I was actually diagnosed with autism. And for my grandma, who grew up in a generation that didn't understand what autism and ADHD was, she never loved me any less. When things were difficult, she just smiled. She would hug me. She would try to push me forward. And those are things that I sometimes didn't come across a lot growing up. The thing that's really hard I didn't do very well in school, and she knew, but she never gave up on me. She wasn't able to see what my life became. You wouldn't have expected it to be what it is today if you knew where I was in high school. And it was very hard to see her because I really just wanted to share with her that I made it, and I made an impact. And she would ask, how is school going? But I never got a chance to tell her that she made an impact on me, my wife, and my kids forever. I know she's here with us today, and I know she understands now. But I love you, Grandma, and I wish you got a chance to hear it when you were with us. Thank you.
And last but not least, it's my honor to call upon Daniel.
So I'll try to keep this short, as I think Ryan and Justin both did a great job speaking about my grandmother. But I did want to highlight just a few, key aspects of her life that I thought were important to share. If there's one thing I remember most about Grandma, it's her love for her family. Everything that Grandma did was for her kids, for her grandkids, and you could see the pure joy in her face when she got the opportunity to even see her great grandkids, both Hunter and Aria. For me personally, we shared a love of music. Growing up in a family that was full of sports, being someone who was more musical was pretty difficult. But Grandma always made me feel welcome. She was always taking interests in the musicals I was in, when I played different instruments like the saxophone. And I'll never forget that. And of course, you can't talk about Grandma without bringing up food. So Grandma was an outstanding cook. and I always looked forward to eating at her place. She had the most legendary stuffing that we all loved very much. And even when it wasn't her that prepared the food, just the company at the table was joyful. I'll never forget going to her place every Sunday for lox and bagels. And it's something I still try to continue to this day with my parents. We try to go every weekend. I don't always get lox, but I try my best to get lox as much as I can. And of course, it was never a trip to Grandma's without the rainbow sherbet. So much so that I had specifically requested at the Shiva tonight that we have it. I do want to give a big thank you to the staff at Brookdale and Lutheran Home for caring for my grandmother for the last several years. And also a big thank you to my parents, Ben and Candy, and Uncle Daryl, for everything that you guys did for for Grandma during these tough times. So God bless and love you, Grandma. Thank you. Thanks.
An unknown author wrote, "A grandmother is one of life's best gifts, someone to treasure all life through. She's caring and loving, thoughtful and true, someone who is always a special part of your life, someone who holds a prime place in your heart. She's a mentor, a confidant, and also a friend, someone on whose love you can depend. A grandmother always has your best interests at heart. She's someone so dear and so good. She's a blessing. She's a gift. She's a treasure like no other. She's someone that is truly wonderful. Wherever you go and whatever you do, a grandmother's love will always see you through. A grandmother is truly invaluable, indispensable, and unforgettable. I wouldn't want anyone but you, and that's why I'm so grateful that life picked you for me." When we met and I asked the family to paint a picture of Marcia's life, so many adjectives came up in describing her, and many of them we've heard already, but I think worth repeating, and in no particular order. She was gentle, sweet, inquisitive, reserved, yet strong and conservative, strict. She'd often say, "You're in trouble," to her kids. "Wait till your father gets home." She was extremely organized. She was sentimental. She literally kept every single card she received. And she always put her children's needs first. She was incredible at budgeting. She was great with green stamps and coupons, and she never bought for herself. She wanted everything for her children, whatever they needed, and to have always nice clothes, going to Marshall Fields to purchase them. When her children were young, she was a den mother. She attended all their games and activities. She was extremely supportive and present in their lives. She always made every single morning a hot breakfast. She was wearing her yellow robe, a vision you'll always remember. And we heard a little bit about her cooking. Well, in our meeting, we spent probably 10 minutes talking about food. I was getting hungry, and it was late at night, actually, but she loved to cook. There were several things they mentioned: her delicious meatloaf and potato pancakes and her brisket, and everything was homemade, by the way, her chopped liver and her macaroni and cheese. She made delicious chicken matzo ball soup and minestrone soup. Everything she made was delicious, and I'm sure made with so much love. She also loved to bake. You recalled her cherry strudel and her apple pie and her pumpkin bread. She baked just about everything but mandel bread because that was taken by another relative in the family. Her children loved when she would bake. They would all be around her waiting to lick the beaters and the bowls and the spoons. They all loved that. She enjoyed entertaining, having the family over for holidays, and as we heard, every single Sunday. I can't believe you didn't already hear about not just the lox and bagels, but Marcia was into making sure that everyone ate well, that the meals were well balanced. There was protein and carbs and, of course, fruit. She would often say, remember to eat your fruit. And you couldn't have dessert unless you ate the fruit. She loved being with her grandchildren, playing games with them, doing their homework with them, encouraging them to do their best. She never argued with them. And you will, Justin, always remember those deep conversations, solving the problems, at least trying to solve all the problems in the world. And Daniel, with your mutual love of music with your grandma, doing jigsaw puzzles with your grandma. She loved doing jigsaw puzzles. She enjoyed playing mahjong. Maybe some of you here have played mahjong with her. She had friends at the synagogue. She was involved in the sisterhood. Marcia enjoyed reading, especially romance novels. And she and her beloved Norton, they were married for 58 years. They had a subscription to the Lincolnshire Marriott, and they enjoyed going to Drury Lane as well. She was a Cubs fan and a Bulls fan. She even watched Game Show Network. And when I asked about, well, what about TV? I couldn't even remember these shows, but I'm sure now that I'm going to share them, you will remember Marcus Welby, MD, right? She enjoyed the Golden Girls and Perry Mason. And it was always during the soap opera, General Hospital, where she would get all of her ironing done. So I know people of today's generation ironing, right? But she ironed everything, handkerchiefs, underwear, you name it, she ironed. And she would do that during General Hospital. She enjoyed listening to news programs, and she had the ability to participate with her husband going on trips. They went on many trips. They went to Japan and cruise and Canada and China and Germany. When the kids were young, there were driving trips. They recalled going to California and Virginia and Pittsburgh and Disney World. So many wonderful, wonderful memories. And it all started with her being the daughter of Nathan and Jean. She was a loving daughter and a loving sister to the late Bernie and Sally. She was blessed to be a mother. That's what she wanted more than anything. I would imagine it wasn't always easy raising 5 children, especially since she didn't learn how to drive until she was well into her 40s. Surviving the loss of her son Neil and the death of her beloved husband must have taken a toll on her. Yet receiving tremendous love and support, especially from all of those seated in this front row. You were there. You were at her side, loving her, supporting her, curling up in bed with her candy you shared with me. These were all gifts that I'm sure your mother, your grandmother will always treasure, and which enabled her to go peacefully. Because of all the love and support that each one of them in the front row gave to Marcia, she was able to live a quality life. Despite having Alzheimer's, Marcia had the ability to find joy in each day. So I hope that you will treasure the times you laughed with her, and even since her passing, having the ability to recall so many wonderful memories that brought you joy and caused you to laugh. Remember her delicious cooking. I hope that you will carry on making some of her recipes, and always, as you will at Shiva, having the rainbow sherbet. And remembering her always saying, eat your fruit. She cared deeply about each and every one of you. You were blessed, and she was blessed. None of us know when our time will come. So I encourage you to live your life like Marcia did. Live each day to the fullest. Appreciate those who give you love, who are there for you, whether by phone because they live out of town, or whether by email or being present in person. There are many ways that we can show our love. I also encourage you to write down your memories of Marcia so that when this precious little baby, 4 months old, she's going to know about her great-grandma. Marcia was blessed to have 7 great-grandchildren and 7 grandchildren, all who brought her so much joy. And they need to know the kind of woman she was, the kind of mother and grandmother and human being that she was. So I encourage you to write down your memories, document them so that her memory will live on, l'dor vador, from generation to generation. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of the righteous is forever a blessing. And to that we say, Amen. I invite you to turn back to your service folders where you find El Malei Rachamim, a prayer that is customary to conclude the service here in the chapel. We will be using the service folders again once we get to the cemetery. On the back cover, you find the mourner's Kaddish. So if you are planning to join us at the cemetery, please be sure to take your service folder with you. It is customary to recite Kaddish at the grave. But here we conclude the service with El Malei Rachamim. If you are able to rise, I invite you to please rise. El Malei Rachamim Shochem Bamromim Hamasei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Gedoshim Uteorim Kizohar Harkia Et Nishmat Marcia Goldberg Shalecha Leolama Baal Harachamim Yastiri Habeseter Kinafecha Leolamim Vitzror Hachayim Et Nishmata Adonai Unachalata V'tanuach b'shalom nishkava vinomar Amen. Let us say the translation together. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Marcia Goldberg, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. Amen. Please be seated.
This does conclude the service here at the chapel. The family will be receiving calls of condolences or sitting shiva at the Darcy's residence, 664 Patton Drive in Buffalo Grove. That'll be immediately following the burial today until 7 p.m. and then tomorrow, Thursday, from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. That information is on your folders as well as our website, so if you didn't get a folder when you entered the chapel, please get one when you leave. Interment will take place at Shalom Memorial Park at 1700 West Rand Road in Arlington Heights. The procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please keep in mind a few safety features while in the procession if you're going. Keep your bright headlights on at all times. Put your emergency blinkers on. Attach the orange funeral sticker to the passenger portion of your front windshield. And we'll also attach a flag to the roof of your car. And please stay as close as safety permits to the car in front of you. The following family members will serve as pallbearers. When I call your name, please come forward. Ben, Justin, Ryan, and Daniel. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise as the family, the rabbi, and Mrs. Goldberg are escorted from the chapel. Pallbearers are going to follow right behind this gentleman here until we get out the doors.